So I'm coming to you guys with a little bit of a random video yet again. I'm going to answer a bunch of would you rather questions. If you want to answer them along with me, then write them down below. Would you rather get dumped by text message or in front of all of your friends? Now this is an interesting one because I bet the majority of people would probably prefer text message over in front of all of your friends, because some people might get embarrassed if they get dumped in front of the friends, but I think personally I would rather be dumped in front of my friends than by text message, because when somebody says something to you over the internet or via text message and it's something that should have been said in person, it doesn't really give you that kind of closure that you need. I feel like as human beings we need a little bit of closure at the end of a relationship to kind of know that's it and it's time to move on. And if you end it in a way where, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I just feel like it's the wrong way to end a relationship personally. So I'm gonna go for in front of all of your friends. Apparently 71% of people would prefer to be dumped by text message, as opposed to the 29% of people that chose in front of all of your friends. And that's probably the embarrassment factor, because it would be quite embarrassing to get dumped in front of all your friends initially if that sort of thing affects you more so than the closure thing. I got dumped in front of my friends. I think they would just know not to listen and to just kind of stay a few feet back so that they don't end up involved in the tornado/hurricane of destruction that I leave behind, or the trace of the body. I mean, what? I literally just deleted the page that I was on, so let's just take a moment to find that. Take a screenshot instead, Jess. Take a screenshot instead. I'm gonna go to the other website now for shits and giggles. Would you rather always wear a top hat or always wear a giant clock necklace? Now, is this clock an actual clock? Is this clock a grandfather clock, or is it a tiny clock? Is it a Rolex kind of sized clock? What kind of weight is this clock? Because if I had to wear a grandfather clock around my neck, I wouldn't get very far. I cannot imagine trying to fucking leave the house with a massive, hefty, weighty clock attached to my neck. Top hats are fucking cool. I'm gonna go for top hat. Always wear a top hat. 69% of people agree with me. Would you rather be one of King Arthur's knights at the Round Table or be one of Robin Hood's merry men? I'm gonna pick Robin Hood's merry men because they were very happy. 45% of people agree with me. Now this is an interesting one. Would you rather legally change your last name to Hitler or never eat chocolate again? Let's bear in mind, my full name is Jessica Nicole Ingle, so it would then be Jessica Nicole Hitler. I think it's got a ring to it. Said no one ever. But at the same time, never eating chocolate again. I'm gonna go with never eat chocolate again, because the stigma and the drama that it would cause trying to explain to everybody that you had to change your last name to Hitler because of a bet or some kind of agreement with whoever makes these rules. Let's say all of the would you rather questions are legit 100%, so when you're answering them, you've got to abide by what you've said. So literally you would have to change your name to Hitler. There is no way about this. There's literally no crossroad here whatsoever. Never eat chocolate again, or Hitler is your last name. I'm gonna go for fucking chocolate off. I'm so sorry, Cadbury's. I'm sorry, Nestle. I love you guys. I love you guys so much. Thorntons, you hold a very special place in my heart. Very special place in my heart. But right now, we have to part because you can't change it back. It quite clearly says down here that Brian, apparently, the quizmaster or whoever is in charge right now, Brian is in charge right now, and Brian says you cannot change it back. You are Mr. or Mrs. Hitler from now on. We need to listen to Brian. We're giving up chocolate, and apparently 51% of people are giving up chocolate, but worryingly enough, 49% of people would change their last name to Hitler. I'm guessing the people that will happily change their last name to Hitler possess some kind of firearms or invisibility cloak to avoid the drama that it would just cause Jessica Hitler. Fucking hell. Would you rather have no one show up to your wedding or your funeral? Well, you want everybody there, don't you, at your wedding, but at the same time, what kind of impression did you leave on the people that you met in your life if they don't show up to your funeral? How depressing would it be to kind of be looking down from the clouds at your funeral? Like, I'm not too sure how it happens. I don't know if we have access to that. I don't know if it's like we're all sat on a couch and we get to see who turns up and who cries and who laughs and who kind of thinks they deserved it, the cunt, you know what I mean? I hope nobody does that. I think it would be much more depressing if nobody turned up at your funeral. I think literally nobody there, nobody is mourning you, nobody gives a shit that you're gone. Literally nothing. Like, that would be very depressing, but at the same time you're not there to witness it. Whereas with your wedding, it's like nobody's there, but at the same time, if nobody's gonna turn up to my wedding, this doesn't include the groom, right? Like, I'm not signing up to be fucking jilted, am I? I'm not signing up for that shit. Deep down, weirdly, I kind of do want to get married with nobody around. Just personally, like, there's a little part of me that kind of wants to have my proper wedding just between me and my significant other, and then kind of more of a, you know, a wedding party. Weirdly, I like the aspect of getting married just to my significant other and nobody being there, just so it's more personal and more intimate and more special, because I do really believe that if you're gonna marry somebody, it should be a bond that you're kind of creating in union between you and your significant other. But I do also believe it's a celebration, so I would like to kind of have my own little private thing on Mount Bonnell, because I'd love to get married on Mount Bonnell. But we're not speaking about my dream wedding here. I'd love to have a proper hippie kind of laid back, just time with my significant other to kind of just, you know, conjoin marital forces. Don't know why it's becoming all Star Wars this year. May the force be with you. Now fuck off on your honeymoon. So in all, I probably wouldn't be that arsed if nobody came to my wedding, because I could just have some kind of after party, couldn't I? I didn't say I couldn't have an after party. I don't see any. Nope, no Brian's lurking about here. Nope, no Brian here telling me what to do. So I'm gonna go with funeral. I just pressed the wrong button. Really, I should have clicked your wedding, because I don't care about people coming to my wedding, but I clicked funeral. So, yeah. The figures still apply. I've just voted for the wrong thing entirely. 55% picked wedding, 45% picked funeral. Moving on to the next one. Would you rather go way back in time and meet your ancestors pre-1800s, or go way into the future and meet your great-grandchildren post 2200? I would definitely go to the future. Straight away, hands down. Nobody knows really what's going to be happening in 2200, so I'm fucking going to the future. I'm off. And apparently 73% of people are with me on my spaceship. Would you rather be able to fly or read mind? That doesn't sound right. Okay, would I rather be able to fly or read people's minds? That makes more sense. Okay, realistically, I think it would come in handy more to be able to read somebody's mind as opposed to flying, theoretically speaking, because I think there'd be a lot of downfalls to being able to fly. Now, hear me out. When you think about it, if you could logistically fly, what's your first thought? Okay, my first thought is, that's awesome. I can fly to America and see all my friends, or I can fly here and I can see that. There's no restriction because I can just fly everywhere. It'll be marvelous. But think about it, right? I ride a bike. You have to wrap up on a bike. Think how much you would have to wrap up to kind of reach the altitude that you need to reach in order to travel where you need to travel. Think how long it theoretically takes to get from here to Austin, Texas, because that's where I would be flying to. I'm flying to Austin. I'm going. I'm off. She's off. She's going. She's on a mission. Everything is wonderful. I can't imagine that my body could reach the same speed as an aeroplane. Let's say a Boeing fucking 737. Trying to reach the same speed as a plane. It's not gonna happen. And it already takes, let's say, 7 hours for me to reach New York and then 4 hours to reach Austin. So let's add those two together. You can do the maths because I can't be bothered. A decent amount of time, but still relatively quite quick. Now, if you was to get on a ship or a cruise ship, couldn't reach that speed, it would take a lot longer to do it flying, I imagine, than it would on a ship or in a plane. And that would be torture. Can you imagine? You're flying halfway across the Atlantic, but you don't have the cushiness of your plane, and you're not on a ship, and you're not warm. You'd just be freezing. You would be fucking cold. It's like you would love flying for about a month. I can guarantee you would love flying for about a month until you got sick of it, because it'd either be too cold or it would knock you out. There would be some kind of downfall to being able to fly. And I suppose if you can read people's minds, there's probably a downfall to that as well, isn't there? Because if there's loads of people in a room and you can't control whose mind you want to read, you're gonna be able to hear everyone's thoughts, and that's gonna just become really overwhelming. Kind of like if you're an empath and you pick up on other people's emotions, which I sort of believe I am an empath, and I can kind of pick up on other people's emotions sometimes when I don't necessarily want to. Can you imagine if you don't have control over either of these things really, then they're going to be great for like a small amount of time and then become really annoying. And I've just managed to turn two of the best things in the world into some kind of negative, and I have a habit of doing that, so I'm gonna go for reading minds because that would be more handy to me right now. And apparently 49% of people agree with me and 51% of people want to fly, but they're not taking into consideration how cold it would logistically be. It'd be freezing unless you just fly in really low and then can you imagine if you're the only person that can fly? Okay, let's just imagine this for a minute, right? You're the only person that can fly, you're the only one with this superpower, but you don't want to go too far up because it's freezing up there, right? So you stay at an altitude, like it's warmer, but then you've got everyone staring at you like, Check this knobhead out. He thinks he's Superman. It's okay, I'm laughing at my own jokes and that's all that matters. Everyone would be literally thinking how end up in the circus, or you would end up being tested on like some kind of human test subject for how did this person get the ability to fly. There's so many downfalls to this, isn't there? I don't know how these simple would you rather questions are blowing my mind in this aspect, but apparently they are. Would you rather know the date of your death or the cause of your death? Straight away I know the answer to this one. I'm definitely going to pick a date of my death because I don't want to know the cause of my death, because imagine going through life knowing how you're going to die but not knowing when it's going to happen. So say for example the cause of my death could be a car crash, but that car crash could take place when I'm like 89 years old, but I wouldn't know that, so I would be constantly paranoid of getting in the car or being around cars to the point where it could destroy my life. I'm definitely going to go with the date of my death, because if I was to pick the date of my death, then it's just a case of living life to the fullest until that point. And if the date of my death is just so happens to be in 3 months, at least then I know I can live life to the fullest. If you just know the cause of your death, that's almost like torturing yourself, because there's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do to avoid it. It's gonna happen and you don't know when. So unless your cause of death is just gonna be natural causes and you can guarantee it's just going to be old age, I'm definitely going to go with date of your death. And that's a 50-50 one apparently. Half of humanity go with cause of your death and the other half of humanity go with date of your death. And that's why these questions can be quite interesting, I think. I definitely look forward to hearing your answers down below. I am definitely going to regret saying this thing about flying at some point. They're gonna offer out like 15 superpowers to like loads of people. I'm gonna enter this competition and they're gonna say, do you remember that video you made in 2016? And I'm gonna say, yeah. And they're gonna turn around and say, you didn't appreciate the thought and the aspect of flying. I'm gonna finish on the next question because it's quite an interesting one. Would you rather have a rewind button in your life or have a pause button in your life? When I thought about the pause button, I thought, what would I want the pause button for? And I think that I would want the pause button for like moments when I gave birth to Athena, because if I could have just paused in that moment for all of eternity when she was so small, she's like the most beautiful thing like in the whole entire world. She still is, like she just gets more and more beautiful to me. But just to pause in that moment, or just be able to go back there and just kind of relive it. So I suppose having a rewind button would be more useful for what I'd like to go and do. I'm gonna go for have a rewind button because that seems to make much more sense than have a pause button. I think that a pause button would definitely come in handy during an argument, because you know when things are getting really intense. If you've got anxiety, you'll know exactly what I mean. If you hate confrontation, you'll know exactly what I mean. But imagine just halfway through an argument where you just need to pause and you just need them not to say anything at all and just to stop having a go at you so you can just kind of think for a minute, just have a moment of clarity. That would be great. It'd be like a little switch. It's like I'm gonna use my phone, it'd just be like beep. Yeah. It'd be nice, wouldn't it? But at the same time, that's pretty much the only thing I can think of. Unless you were about to witness somebody kind of get hit by a car or something like that, then you could have a pause button to kind of save their life or something. So I suppose a pause button would come in handy, those types of situations, but I want a rewind button, so I'm gonna go for a rewind button. And 68% of people would also go for a rewind button. Let me know your answers down below, because I think it actually brought up quite a few different interesting questions. So it'd be interesting to know your thoughts and opinions on the questions that I answered. Let me know if you want me to make another one of these, because there's literally loads, and I mean loads of would you rather questions on both of these websites. So until next time, unless I get a rewind button and can come back to this very moment in life, I will speak to you later. Bye!